But then with me, the horrid doubt always arises whether the convictions of man's mind are of any value or at all trustworthy. Would anyone trust in the convictions of a monkey's mind if there were any convictions in such a mind? This is an excerpt from a letter written in 1881 by Charles Darwin. To find out exactly what he meant or what he was saying by this, watch this episode. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Inshallah you guys are well. So in this episode we're going to be discussing something very important. We're going to be strengthening the case that we've been making so far over the past couple of episodes regarding Islam and science. What we're going to see now, not only that, Islam and science, is a beautiful deep link between the two, and we have a rich history of science and Islam where they work together. But now what we're going to see is that the mystery deepens. What we're going to see is that science itself and the foundations of science, the pillars of science, cannot be made sense of without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without God. So in other words, what I'm saying is without God, you don't have science. Now I know this is a very bold claim and some of you may be thinking, well, how does this make sense? And we're going to explain this right now. And the reason I've said this to start with is two things. See, science has many foundations. Science has many things it relies upon. One of the assumptions of science is that the real world is real, right? Before you do any science, you have to accept this axiom. When I say axiom, what I mean is an idea, a belief which is there as a foundation. And you stand on top of that belief to do whatever you're going to do to attain whatever knowledge you're going to attain. In the same way, science or the scientific method, for you to do it or you to use it, there are a few axioms, there are a few foundations that you need to start with. One of them is that the real world is real, meaning everything around us that we see is actually real. There's no way of actually proving this to begin with without science, right? But you can't use science to prove its very assumptions. And we're going to discuss these concepts further down. But the two main assumptions that I'm going to be talking about today are human rationality and the intelligibility of the universe. Again, big terms, but we're going to break them down. So what do I mean by human rationality? Human rationality basically is our ability to reason, our ability to think, our ability to come to truth about things, right? So sometimes we do this throughout our lives. So we sit there, we may think of a certain concept or an idea, and we see or we try to understand the truth of that idea. This is what science essentially does. It looks into the world and tries to understand the truth of the world, right? And we as human beings, we have this ability, we have this capacity to look at a thing or a situation and to come to the truth about that situation or thing. Also, as human beings, we have the ability of foresight or seeing into the future. We can see conclusions. No other creature can do that. We can use deductive argumentation, and this is a good example of this. I'll give you a simple analogy. John is a man, all men die. These are two premises. So premise A is John is a man. Premise 2, all men die. Therefore, the conclusion is, and I'm sure you can work this out, is that John will die, right? Now, this conclusion, we can see this conclusion in the eye of our minds, if you like, right? So we see that John will die based on the two premises. Now, this is something very unique, and it's an ability that we have. So essentially, when I talk about human rationality, this is what I'm speaking about. Our ability to reason in a methodological way, in a very logical, systematic way, and to come to the truth about things. Secondly, the intelligibility of the universe. What do I mean by this? Well, basically, what I'm saying is that our universe is intelligent. Our universe is ordered. Our universe is in a certain way, which is very precise. And it's not only me saying this. If you look at the writings of some of the scholars of the past and some of the scientists of the past, when they look into the universe, it mesmerizes them. It blows their mind. Because when they look into the universe, they find deep order. For example, Einstein, he said, what is inconceivable about the universe is that it is at all conceivable. What he realized was when he looked into the universe and he studied the universe, he saw amazing order within the universe. He saw that the laws of physics, for example, that govern this universe are very precise. And not only are they precise, but they're mathematical in nature. This is why I believe Galileo he said that if you want to understand the universe, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said if you want to understand the universe we live in, you have to understand the language it was written in. And the language it was written in is the language of mathematics. So essentially, you need to know mathematics if you want to understand the universe. So this shows that our universe is very, very precise and it's ordered so precisely. Now, these two realities are actually quite fascinating. And we're going to see why. Because these two realities require, a cause, a creator behind them. Because how can you make sense of a rational mind that has the ability to think and come to truth, and a universe which is ordered and follows laws, very precise laws? If you think about it, laws necessitate a lawgiver, right? It doesn't make sense otherwise. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at these two realities, the ordered universe, and we'll call it the ordered universe. We won't use a big term like the intelligible universe. Let's say the ordered universe and ordered human rationality, okay? Let's look at these two realities now. And we're going to look at these two realities through the lenses of Islam and atheism. These are the two worldviews we're going to assess these two assumptions through. Now, before we do this, I just want to point out, or I want to highlight or illustrate or emphasize how important these assumptions are for science. Imagine science was an old man, okay? Now, these two assumptions will be the walking sticks of science, right? Just like the old man needs walking sticks to walk and get from point A to point B, or to partake or take part in that walk, in the same way, science requires these two assumptions. And the walking stick 1 is human rationality, and walking stick 2 is our ordered universe. And science needs both of these things to do science. Because what is science? When you do science, as we discussed before, you use your capacities, your rationality, and your faculties to look into the universe and to study it. But think about this for a second. If the universe wasn't ordered and it was random and it continued to change every hour, hour by hour, how can you understand it? You may observe the universe 1 minute and study something about it, but half an hour later, the thing that you studied would be different. So you'd have to observe that very same thing again. And then 2 hours later, you'll have to observe that very thing again. And you won't get anywhere. You won't gain any knowledge because everything is continuously changing. So let's assess these two key assumptions of science through the lenses of Islam and atheism. And let's see which one of these worldviews, Islam or atheism, makes sense of these assumptions. Now look, I want to make something very, very clear, brothers and sisters. We're not challenging these assumptions when we're talking about them. I'm not saying unless we prove them, we can't accept them. No, they're a given. You can't deny them. They're axioms. You cannot deny them. But all I'm saying is, let's see what worldview makes sense of them. What worldview accounts for them. That's what we're doing essentially. So let's look at naturalism. As we've discussed before in previous episodes, naturalism is the idea that everything that exists is natural. There is nothing beyond the natural world. It's all a closed physical system, and physical events are the result of physical causes. Okay? There's nothing beyond this, there's no supernatural. Atheism is an offshoot which also sort of holds a very similar idea that there is no creator or supernatural cause, but they may, be a bit looser when it comes to believing in some sort of cause. But nevertheless, for the sake of this discussion, we don't need to know more than this. So, according to this worldview, everything within the universe and everything that exists is a result of blind, random, physical processes, right? Remember, they don't believe in a creator, they don't believe in God, they don't believe in anything like this, okay? So they believe that everything that has resulted, everything that exists today is a result of blind, random, physical processes, mindless gases, mindless atoms, mindless molecules, whizzing around and colliding into each other over millions of years, and they resulted in everything we see. Now here's a question I'm going to leave you with in this episode, and we'll carry this on in the next episode. But if everything is a result of these mindless, blind, random processes, physical processes, how have they resulted in a universe which is ordered, in a universe which follows and obeys laws, in a universe which is precise, and a mind that's intelligible? Think about this. Jazakallah khair for watching, brothers and sisters. Until the next episode, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.